Hey, we're going to be looking at ways of solving triangles by using the law of cosines. That's a little bit different than the law of sines in terms of what information we start with. So again, we have our generic triangle. Remember, it's the basic strategy for how things are labeled. Angle A, opposite angle A is side A. We have angle B, opposite angle B is side B. Angle C, opposite angle C is little c. So we use little letters for our sides, capital letters for our vertices of our triangle. Now, when we look at the formula for law of cosines, it kind of looks familiar. If you recognize that, well, it's Pythagorean theorem. We have c squared equals a squared plus b squared. However, we don't have a right triangle here. So we have a correction factor. And that correction factor is minus 2ab cosine c. That's what happens. Now, if angle C is a 90-degree angle, this would all equal 0. And we get the Pythagorean theorem. And that's the difference. Because then we'd have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So this makes the correction. Now, look at the structure way this is. We have c squared, this little c, is opposite angle C. So those two, when I look at my equations, these two are opposite. Then the other thing I like to look at, if you take all these guys, they're all together. They're all connected. The C is by itself. See the C by itself, and all these guys are connected. Then it's this one squared plus this one squared, and minus 2 times these two cosine angle opposite this one right here. So I could have done any kind of combinations. I don't have to say c squared equals a squared plus b squared. If I wanted to use angle A, and some books will show it this way, they'll show it in a variety of different ways. If I want to use angle A, well, then I have a squared is equal to, and I want to look at, I'm going to change colors real quick. Then I would have these guys together, and it would be a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine of a. So it's mostly understanding how you put the pieces together. I could have done the same thing with angle B. That at angle B would be little b squared equals a squared plus c squared minus 2ac cosine b. So when do we use it? Well, we want to use this when we have 3 sides or we have side angle side. So if you only have one or no angles, law of cosines is what you're going to be using. Okay, so first we're going to look at finding a missing side. So this is the side angle side case. So if you're finding a missing side using the law of cosines, you're basically working a side angle side. Okay, again, unlabeled triangles, we have to understand the structure. These 3 guys are together. This guy is by itself. So it's going to be x squared equals 18 squared plus 22 squared minus 2 times 18 times 22 cosine of 123. Now when you calculate this out, just calculate all of this stuff together. You just type it into 18 squared plus 22 squared minus 2 times 18 times 22 times cosine 123. Then hit equals. You'll get that answer. So the safest way. Now if your calculator does, if you have to type in 123 before you do cosine, then it'd be 18 squared plus 22 squared minus 2 times 18 times 22 times 123 cosine, and we'll calculate it out, equals, and then we'll give it this answer. Then all I got to do is take the square root, and I got the missing side is 35.2 feet. Okay, let's use it to find a missing angle. This is probably the most common spot where we use law of cosines because it's really easy. If you have a structure, it's easy to measure sides. I can use a ruler, I can use a tape measure. I can be pretty accurate with it. Really easy to be accurate. It's really hard to be accurate when measuring an angle. You're not going to get out to decimal points very easily. So that's why getting 3 sides is really a common real life situation. So we have this basic equation again. Now, I see my angle. I see the 2 sides that are connected. These are the pieces I want to put together. The one that's by itself is going to be the 6.4. So 6.4 squared equals 5.1 squared plus 5.9 squared, 2 times 5.1 times 5.9 times cosine of x. Now, when you calculate this is one you have to be a little more careful because this is a little bit harder to calculate. Do 6.4 squared, then do 5.1 squared plus 5.9 squared. Add those 2 together. Then you're going to put these 2 guys together, minus 2 times 5.1 times 5.9. Hit enter, times cosine of x. So it's 6.4 squared. These 2 added to give you the 60.82. These 2 added to give you 60.18. Okay. Next step is I'm going to subtract 60.82, divide by negative 60.18, just like I would solve normal equations. And again, don't over round these things. Even if I round to 0.33, I'm probably going to be okay. But it's already in your calculator. So just now, all I got to do is do second, hit cosine, or shift cosine, and we get our angle. So our angle is 70.73 degrees. Okay, now let's look at a typical kind of a problem you're going to come across where you may have to go over and actually solve a triangle. So right now, these are the formulas we have. We have law of sines and we have law of cosines. So we have to look at what we're given to decide which one we're going to use. Well, what I'm given is a side, an angle, and a side. So this is side, angle, side. So I'm going to use the law of cosines to find some other quantity. Well, I know these 3 are together. My missing other side is going to be the one that's over here. So that side is little p across from angle p. So now we're going to put our pieces together. I've got p squared, this is the one opposite right here, equals 16 squared plus 20 squared minus 2 times 16 times 20 cosine of 25. Again, this one you can calculate straight out in your calculator. Just punch it all in. You get 75.963, take the square root. And since this is a preliminary calculation, don't round it. You can take it out maybe 4 decimal spots, but don't round it to 1 or 2 decimal spots. It's going to be more accurate this way. Now, I've got my missing side. I got to find my missing angles. So I have a choice. I could either try to find angle R, or I could find angle Q. Now, I can use either one of the formulas to find that missing angle. But law of sines is a little bit easier to calculate. It's a little harder to find a missing angle with law of cosines, a lot more algebra involved. So if you're going to use law of sines to find the missing angle, you just got to make sure it's not the biggest angle on the triangle. So it says angle Q is definitely the biggest angle because the opposite side is 20. I'm going to solve for angle R. So we'll do sine of 25 over 8.7157 equals sine of R over 16. Multiply by 16. Do inverse sine. And I get angle R is equal to 50.88 degrees. Now, if I'm solving the triangle, I've got to find all the missing sides and all the missing angles. I'm going to list them all out. So now I've got my angles are 25 degrees for angle P, that was given. Angle R we found to be 50.88. And then again, I can add those 2 together and subtract them from 180 to get 104.12 for angle Q. For my sides, well, Q and R were given. And therefore, the one I had to solve for was angle P, the side P, and now I'm ready to round it. So now I'm going to round it to 8.72 meters.